Good evening, everyone. Am I audible to all of you?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. So, a very good evening to all of you. I welcome you all on behalf of AIEF for the session of. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, ma'am.
Okay, so there are a lot of things that needs to be done in the field of science, and one of the most important one is incorporation of competency-based education. So we'll be discovering it today. I'm sharing the screen for the same. All right, so before I take you through the session, my humble request to all of you, let's not make it a monologue, it's a discussion. We all are educators on this forum, this platform, so everyone should try to participate. You can unmute yourself and you can participate in the discussion anywhere you like, or you have any idea, anything coming to your mind. All right, so the whole webinar of this 45 minutes will be based on these 4 pillars. What is competency-based education? Why it should be incorporated? If you are trying to incorporate, then how you should incorporate, and what are its future prospects? Before we move to the exact meaning of competency-based education, I would like to show you some pictures, and I hope most of you will recognize him. Who is he, by the way? Any one of you, if you can mute.
Yeah, it's Stephen Hawkins, ma'am.
Wow, that's excellent. Okay, so can anyone tell me what comes to your mind when you see him? What is that?
He's a great scientist, very knowledgeable person.
Okay, right. So he is a knowledgeable person. That is the first thing that triggers. Okay, everybody knows. He is
Amitabh Bachchan.
Yes, ma'am. He is Amitabh Bachchan. And what do you think? What comes very first when you see him on the screen?
Great actor.
Great actor. So that means he has some skill which he keeps on exhibiting, isn't it? The acting skill. Who is she?
Samriti.
Smriti Irani, right? What comes in your mind when you see her on screen?
Bold woman, encouraging.
Okay.
She's very bold.
Very bold, intelligent. Okay.
Iron Lady.
Iron Lady. Okay. So we came across 3 things: a knowledgeable person, a skilled person, and the person who has abilities, who has changed herself time and again. Smriti Irani, right? That is just a brief outlook what we are going to understand today. Let's come to the topic, competency. If you go by the definition, in order to understand competency-based education, you need to understand first what is competency. If you go by the definition, competency can be defined as an individual's capability for performing a task successfully in professional, educational, and other life context using a set of related knowledge, skills, and ability. These 3 terms right now, just before this, all of you have used, isn't it? There was a knowledgeable person, a skilled person, and there was a person who has a lot of abilities to transform herself. Now, there are certain components of competency, and they are these three which you have discussed just now, that is skill, knowledge, and abilities. That means if we are enhancing these three, that means we have already incorporated competency-based education in our system. All right. So now we come to the first pillar of the webinar. What is competency-based education? Let's understand this whole concept of CBE. It has become a talk of the town these days. There are a lot of training sessions going on, but I feel like there is one small little thing which was missing. Most of the educators do not actually understand the meaning of competency only. So that's the reason we took up competency first, and now we are moving towards competency-based education. Again, if I take you through the definition says competency-based education is also known as mastery-based education or proficiency-based education. It is an approach that allows students to advance on the basis of their abilities to master a skill or competency at their own pace, regardless of environment. That means we are talking about speed, and we are also talking about the environment in which the learner is performing a task of learning. Definitely here we are dealing with learning, so the task is learning. There are 6 basic components of CBE. The competency-based education lies on 6 parameters. First of all, when you are incorporating or when you are trying to understand competency-based education, it should have clearly defined learning outcome. The learning outcome after performing a particular session or a particular topic or a particular activity, the child, the learner should be able to know what I need to know once this session is off, once we go through this particular activity. Another thing, flexibility of time frame. See, now this is the most important, and I would say the most beautiful thing about CBE. It is not dependent on what we do. We normally have one chapter, we divide it into session and we go about it. Suppose a particular unit requires 18 sessions, we just take it through 18 sessions, right? But here, until and unless the learner is able to understand the concept, the next concept is not at all introduced. That means there is flexibility of time. The X might take 2 sessions, while Y might take 8 sessions to understand the same. But it has to have the flexible timings to understand the concept, to incorporate the skill, to generate or have the mastery over that particular skill. Now, when you are talking about flexibility of timing, in that case, you will need multiple pedagogies for a particular thing. As I stated, X will require maybe 4 hours to understand a particular thing, but the other one might need 8 hours. It's not the same way that you deal both with X and Y. So you need to have abundance of pedagogies, numerous pedagogies, so that you go through those sessions easily. The content needs to be very engaging for the learner as well as for the teacher. So prior planning of each and every session, aggressive planning needs to be there. Criteria reference testing. Now, definitely, once you are giving a certain logic, giving a certain concept in the class, there has to be test for understanding. Otherwise, it will become non-measurable. So it should be measurable. The learning outcome should be measurable. So the tests are definitely designed, but it is mostly formative kind of. That means it doesn't have much stake with the learner, but yes, they need to improvise upon their learning. The last one is demonstrated learning outcome. Teachers, whatever the outcome is expected, that is already told to the student. It is very transparent, and the child takes the onus of his, her or her learning. I hope I'm clear to everyone by now. Any questions so far?
No, ma'am, clear.
Thank you so much. Okay, the second pillar, why we should have competency-based education. This is the most important question that we need to know. Why competency-based education? We already have a system, no, of teaching in a class. We have a way of moving through the concepts. We have a way of dealing with the students. But over the time, everything has changed. Can you see the difference? We have moved towards to Android systems now. Everyone is moving with abundance of knowledge just one click away because of Android system and internet. The way we used to have monetary transfers, now it is altogether different. It has become paperless. Our whole of the technology has changed. There is change in every field. When there are so many changes going on, then definitely it is time to change the whole of the education system, the whole of transaction between learner and the teacher. And that is where the CBE comes into picture. Though it is a very old system. Now you'll have to observe certain things. Definitely not this man. What do you see? I'm giving you 10 seconds to observe what is there on the screen. You can share your observations. What do you see in this classroom?
Blackboard teaching, normal teaching. And teacher is speaking and children are passive. Active member is teacher.
Okay, so it is more or less teacher based, right? The teacher is the driving factor in this classroom. This is what you want?
Yes, yes.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, so a picture is worth 1,000 words. What is happening here in this class? What do you
It is child-centered.
It is child
Interaction between teacher and children. So
okay, there is
there's
interaction.
interaction.
Correct.
Involvement of students.
Right, a lot of interaction is going on. So I would just differentiate these two systems, these two pictures, what you observe with some of the technical terms. The first one, where the teacher was driving the class, is the traditional instruction going on in the class, while the second one was competency-based instructions going on. If you see the traditional structures, traditional way of teaching, it is very time-based. What does it mean? Just now I just discussed that you select a chapter and you divide it into number of sessions and you go forward with it. That is time-based. In 18 sessions, 20 sessions, whatever, you have to complete a certain unit in your classroom. There, the teaching mode is group learning. That means you have a class of around 30-40 students and you teach them all in the same fashion. When you assess their learning, it is summative kind of. That means there's a result of certain teaching which indicates whether you have learned it or not, if you are pass or fail. There's no concept of improvising it. That means it has high stakes. Pace depends on the faculty. Pace depends on the teacher who is taking up the topic in the class. And once the course is finished, once you have given the exam, you are passed forward to the next level, next grade. While in the second one, where I told you that the students are leading the class, the students are taking the class forward, here it is learner centered. Till the time the child doesn't have mastery over the skill, whether it is critical analysis, whether it is, understanding of the concept in different ways, it is all depending on the learner. It is very individualized. That means it is very personalized. I always believe in equity. Equity means here what we are doing in traditional method, we are focusing over equality. I'll come to this topic again in the coming slides. But here I would like to focus that competency-based instructions are very individualized. Maybe Rama has one way of understanding the concept and Shama has another way of understanding. So the teacher makes it very individual approach to both of them. They both are not taught in the similar fashion. They can't be taught in the similar fashion actually. The whole concept, the whole running of the class will depend on the pace of the student. All right, till the time Rama has expertise over a particular topic, he is not going to move further. So it is all very performance based. The child takes the onus. The speed of the child is going to decide everything over there. How the class will move, how the session will move. So it is always self-paced. It is very much student-centric. Once the child has the mastery over the course, mastery over the skill, then only he moves further. So there is a difference between traditional instruction and competency-based instructions. Are we all on same page? Do we really feel that there is difference between the traditional instruction and competency-based instruction?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. In that case,
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, don't you think this competency-based education, this method is very difficult when you have a good strength in the class? We cannot go as per the pace of the every individual, every child, we cannot go with their pace. And we also have restrictions to complete the syllabus in a particular time period.
Yes, ma'am. There are challenges, but in the slides to come, I'll be sharing some of the tips to do it. All right, maybe they are not all, but I have thrashed out, I have researched some of the very beautiful ways of getting it done. I know where you are stuck. You are stuck between the traditional way and in between the CBE. How to balance the syllabus with time. When we say that it is, the time becomes variable, it really becomes very difficult with a variety of students in the class. I understand, ma'am, but I'll be sharing some of the tools in the slides to come. So just hold the question for next 5 minutes. What do you think? Which one is better? The traditional way or the practicing of competency based?
Competency based.
Competency based is better. Okay, if that is your answer, why do you feel so?
Through the activity, children can learn more
Through
than the traditional way.
Okay, so through the activities, you feel that children will learn more. Now, I'll just share a video with you.
Ma'am, the video cannot.
Just a
can't
minute.
see.
Just a minute, ma'am.
In America today, more people than ever need higher education.
Can you see the screen, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So let's see it together. It's hardly of 1 minute, but very meaningful.
In America today, more people than ever need higher education. Yet far too many don't pursue or earn degrees, often because traditional classroom-based programs don't fit their lives. In response, a growing number of colleges and universities are offering another option: competency-based education. Each program is unique, offering creative, state-of-the-art learning opportunities to fit the needs of many students who might not otherwise pursue education. Programs accomplish this by transparently communicating the learning objectives students must achieve to earn degrees and other credentials, by enabling students with existing knowledge and skills to personalize their educations and accelerate progress towards completion, by using technology that enables students to learn anytime, anywhere, at prices they can afford, and by integrating support from faculty, mentors, and coaches that can build confidence needed for success, aimed at creating fair and just educational results. While no single option is right for all students, these programs offer relevant and verifiable skills for greater success in work and life. The Competency-Based Education Network is helping colleges and universities create programs that engage students who otherwise might not be reached. Learn what's happening.
I hope it was informative. You must have got a glimpse that globally, people are moving towards competency-based education. And the reason for it is all those factors that is debarred in the traditional way of teaching. Okay, so the study says that when you have competency-based education, you are more skilled. The method of teaching in the school is competency-based. You are more skilled, you are more successful in your field, you have specific abilities to handle your problems in life, not only in work, but also in life. It is helping a lot. And that is the reason why people are moving or shift. There's a paradigm shift from traditional to CBE or mastery based education. Now, when we know that there is need of this type of education, when we know that traditional way is not the best way of teaching and learning, then how do we incorporate it into our science classes? And I would press here, I would focus, I would bring everybody's focus here. Now, the science stream has become a real mundane thing, if you see, and that is because the practical approach, the benefit of all is not getting shared. The way the concept should have been built, the way its application should have been built is not in the right frame. So let's see how we can incorporate competency-based education in our classrooms. These are certain methods, certain tools which allows you to incorporate it to make your children more skilled. Experiential learning. Any of the concept in science can be related to hands-on learning. Whether you teach them friction, whether you teach them photosynthesis, whether you teach them chemical reactions, all of them can be taught with hands-on learning. And believe me, it is just one time that you go for hands-on learning, uh, hands-on behavior of the concept, it becomes very, very easy for the children. It's showing me this meeting ends in 10 minutes. So after 10 minutes, we'll be joining again with the same. Right now, it will continue. If it stops, we'll move and join again with the same link. Okay, inquiry-based teaching. Teachers in There is. Okay, teachers, please mute yourself, or I'll have to do it. Okay, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So the inquiry-based education is something where the student themselves get self-motivated. Pose interesting questions to them, and you will find that they are with you in the journey of learning. Reflective teaching is another good method of teaching where for each and every topic, you take the reflection and you understand where the child stands during the whole course of teaching, during the whole course of learning. Even the teacher needs to reflect back what is the concept, how it is being delivered, and what are its applications. Storytelling or fact-based. I mean, for the junior classes, it works like anything. You just talk about the life cycle of butterfly, you talk about the life cycle of a moth, and that story remains forever with the child. Gamification or playway method, you teach the projectile motion, you teach the pendulum, working of battery. N number of things can be done with playway method. And the project based teaching is, I mean, totally can be done by gamification. Multi-sensory experiences, like show them a picture and ask what all concepts can be driven. I just now, a few days back, showed a picture of a bird, flying bird, and I asked which all topics that you have studied can be related over here. And they came up with so many things. They told about aerodynamics, they told about the friction created by air, they told about Newton's third law. So it gets, that gives stimulation to students. Graphic organizers, you can use graphic organizers wherever many concepts are interrelated. That is a very good practice. Lab book is one way where students collect all their difficult terms, difficulties in lab book, and they keep on revisiting it. Projects, innovative projects needs to be assigned to children. They work wonders. Just now a child has made a room air purifier which can be used in room with the help of waste from car. There are many mobile apps which are working for making science study easier, like human body, cosmic zoom, earth premiere. All of them give a 360-degree understanding of the concept with the hand holding of every topic. There has to be a science club in the school. Every school should have a science club, and which should be utilizing STEM. That will give an insight of the importance of collaborative work, new ideas and new concepts that are coming up, and things like that. Reward discovery, this also works a lot. We should have a habit of uh, praising our children with different things. Like some of the terms I have written here, that is little scientist, junior environmentalist. Right now they feel it is okay to be called like this, but they remember it throughout their life. Interactive science journals are also available, so that also help them to make science more and more interesting. Guided discovery problems, exploration, invention, discovery. Every year there are so many quizzes going on around the globe. There are so many projects going on around the globe. We need to explore them. We need to tell students to explore them, and they will bring the information to you. Fishbone, the cause effect game. There might be, a small little thing can be judged, like the coffee is not good. There may be many reasons for it. So that cause needs to be mentioned, and that gives an idea of analyzing things critically. Okay, next is VAK, visual, auditory, kinesthetic teaching. This is for basically blessed children, I would say special children, where the things are done again and again so that the skill is developed. I said multiple pedagogies needs to be there in the basket of the teachers so that CBE can be implemented in class. Science word wall. I mean, create a wall where students write different words that are coming from science. And if you see it again and again, it comes in the habit of the child to understand this. They will be using those words very frequently. Case study. Many different problems, give them stories, ask about how to solve it. Like few days back, there was a question given that an acid spill over the road and the potholes cover got, what do you say, got rusted. What was the reason? How can we stop it? How should methanol, ethanol, which is used as a fuel these days, how can that be transported from one place to another? Give a idea about it. So all these case studies give them a view, give them an insight to think about it. Argue with science. We have debates in English and Hindi. We have debates. We have um, many things organized in schools, out of schools, related to the specific topics. But when you argue with science, when you argue with logics, with scientific logics, that gives them another horizon to think. Peer-to-peer learning works as magic. The things that you or me can't teach them, that can be easily taught by students. So peer-to-peer is another way of making things interesting for children. I hope I have given answer to one of the participant over here, how to take up CBE. Ma'am, you can take combination of many style of teaching to make your teaching faster with CBE. Right? Maybe some of the difficult topics can be taken up with fishbone, can be taken up with science word wall. There can be case study related to it. So that will be the easiest thing to do. Another thing, the fourth pillar of this webinar is future prospect. The CBE, competency-based education, has improved clarity and transparency, more seamless personalization of learning. It helps shift towards culture of assessment. Students better understand their own profile. I'll just stop sharing it because I'll be joining again and I expect all of you to join. It wasn't giving me the option to get the meeting for 1 hour, so I got it done for 30 minutes. So I'm stopping it from sharing and I'll be joining again with the same link.